Welcome back. This is part 2 with my interview with Joan Duperly. Joan, you mentioned that you went to Halifax,
Right.
which is interesting because our national dish has cod fish in it.
Right.
And this is where the saltfish comes from, Halifax. Right. So there is that connection.
That's right.
So
that was the connection actually that landed me there, because my husband, whose name was Glenn, his father ran the fish factory that exported the saltfish to Jamaica. So anyway, so then I had 4 daughters, and sadly to say, I have to mention this for people because it's just what happened. It's not. My first daughter died shortly after birth, and then my second daughter lived, and she's now 50 years old. Her name is Suzanne. And then I had twin girls, but unfortunately they did not survive either. And so I had a company which I started there called Second Look. I was very interested in, I wasn't a conventional artist, but I loved people, and I loved people. So I went into the business of, the company was called Second Look. And it was the first company in the maritime provinces to deal with just for women. And it was a beauty business, not to do with hair, but to do with cosmetics, perfumes. And I had a dance section because as a young girl I had been part of the ballet community in Jamaica. We've done a lot of performances and studied under Hazel Dora. And then I had this company, and because of the company, I spent my spare time with my family, and I also like to help in the community, so I actually gave courses in self-improvement with the Halifax Schools Association, the School Board of Halifax. I would go through schools and speak to them about the importance of being sure of yourself and knowing your own beauty, and the importance of expressing your own feelings and your own, allowing yourself to shine through. And I kept this company for 25 years. I also started in 1967, I started the Academy of Cosmetology in Nova Scotia, which was a school which I kept for 5 years, and then it passed on and became larger and so on. And I was also one of the founding directors of the Halifax Dance Co-op at the time. It's now just called Dance Nova Scotia. And that was 500 or 600 adults who wanted to learn to dance. And I'm the business person. I'm the person who knows how to get people interested, how to promote things. I'm a marketer, and so I always help people to get on their feet, and especially teach them how to, get people interested in what you're doing and raise funds, and so, because everything requires funds to go. And I would say to all the old girls who might be watching this, don't forget to support your community and your own communities as much as you can when you can do so. And so I had this company. It was great. I had a lot of activities. My children grew up in a very beautiful setting. It was lovely. And then by the time we're now fast forwarding through all of that up to the time when my children were grown up now, and they were attending university, and my daughter, in fact, had moved away to another city to pursue her dreams. And so by about 1983, I decided that my husband had died. I decided that I should come back to Jamaica. And I wasn't sure what I would do here, so I wanted to come back and just see. And I did that in 1985. I had a son in 1972. I had a son later in life. There's 11 years between my daughter and my son. And I had thought that I would bring him here at the time he was 11 years old, 10 years old. I did bring him here, and I was teaching drama at Columbus Prep in St. Anne, and I did try to see if it would be good for him to come back here and to stay with me, but he found it very difficult. He was raised in Canada, he was used to Canada, he felt out of place, and I could see that it was giving him some stress. So he went back to Canada and stayed in school, but I stayed here. And actually I started, I want to say one of the things I would like to say to young women, which is really important, is that if you're not comfortable with who you are and what you're doing, then you probably can't be too successful. You need to find your spiritual self and, you know, believe in yourself. And it doesn't mean that if you start something that this is a thing that you have to do forever. You can take some things, you know, for everything that ends, for every door that closes, another one is open. And that's how I found with life. And God is a big part of my life. In Jamaica, I joined with Sister Mary Stephanie, and the Franciscan Associates, the Franciscan at Holy Childhood. Actually, how I got into the Jamaica School of Music was because, yes.
That is very interesting. To know at age 55, you went to the School of Music to study, and you got your
my certificate, yes, in music and education. It was a pilot project. That,
and then you went to Holy Childhood and formed a drumming group.
Yes, well, that was the deal.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing was that to get into the program at the Jamaica School of Music, you had to be a teacher. So Sister Stephanie hired me. You know, there's a way around everything. We Jamaicans know how to do that. And so she hired me, quote unquote, to teach drumming. And then I would go to the Jamaica, I would leave Aracabessa, drive to Jamaica School of Music, take a class, and then I would I would stay overnight, and then the next day, the class that I learned the day before, I would give to the students. So, and I also did the music for 10 years on Saturday, the service on Saturday at Our Lady of Fatima in Ocherias. So that was one of, I have to say, my favorite things was once I had been driving back from Kingston to Aracabessa, and a little goat had been born on a hill which had fallen in the middle of the road, literally. And the car, I saw this little thing squiggling in the road, and it was a little goat. So I stopped the car and took it with me, because there was no way to find the mother. And I fed it, and I raised this goat, and its name was Blossom. So when we weren't having the children coming back to school, so I had this goat in Aracabessa. You can imagine the lady with the goat on the hill, that the goat is like her child or something. And so what I did, talk about marketing, so I said to the priest, I said, Father, you don't have any children coming here. And he said, no, they don't want to come, you know, it's not interesting. And I said, okay, well, can I bring my goat to church when I come to play the drums on a Saturday? And he said, sure. So needless to say, the years that I was at the church, we had plenty of children. And Blossom the goat, once the father was, you know, doing some praying and blessing us and everything, and the goat goes, ah. And he says, thank you, Lord, the Spirit has spoken. And that's a true story. So in this life, we have to keep a sense of humor as well. It helps. Right, Ruth? I don't think you're excited when you say that. But anyway, so yeah, so I had a wonderful time. While I was there, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I didn't want to do any more sort of commerce of any kind. So I started writing poetry. And I did quite well. I had about 6 months to make up my mind how I would earn a living down here. So I had started writing. I had been writing for a few years anyway, and I wrote some poetry, and then I would go, people would invite me to come, and I would read my poetry, and then they would ask me if they could get that poem, and I would do it out on some parchment.